The rain-soaked streets of Willow Creek gleamed like polished onyx, reflecting the dim streetlights that struggled to pierce the darkness. It was a night like any other, yet it felt different, like a serpent coiled around the city's throat, squeezing tight. In the midst of this oppressive gloom, a lone figure emerged from the mist-shrouded alleys, boots squelching in the puddles that dotted the sidewalk. Her name was Lena, a wraith of a woman with eyes that seemed to hold 1,000 midnights. Her dark hair hung in sodden strings, framing a face that had known more cruelty than compassion. She moved with a slow, deliberate pace, as if drawn by some unseen force to the rundown tavern that loomed before her. The neon sign creaked in the wind, casting a gaudy glow over the deserted parking lot. Mac's Tavern, it read, a beacon of false promise to the lost and the lonely. Lena's gaze locked onto the entrance, her eyes burning with a hunger that had nothing to do with drink or camaraderie. This was a place where the damned came to scratch their itches, where the shadows danced with the desperate. With a quiet deliberation, Lena pushed open the door and stepped into the warm, golden glow of the tavern. The air inside was heavy with the stench of stale beer and broken dreams. She moved to the bar, her eyes roving over the faces of the patrons, searching for something. The bartender, a gruff, red-faced man named Gus, looked up as she claimed a stool, his gaze lingering on the scars that etched her cheeks. "What can I get you, sweetheart?" he asked, his voice a gentle rasp. Lena's smile was a thin, cruel thing. "The usual, Gus. The strongest thing you've got." She tossed a crumpled wad of cash onto the counter, her eyes never leaving his. "And information. I'm looking for someone." Gus's eyes narrowed, his gaze flicking to the wad of cash before returning to Lena's face. "Who you looking for, sweetheart?" He poured her a shot of whiskey, the amber liquid glowing like a tiny sun in the dim light. Lena's fingers wrapped around the glass, her grip tight enough to make the tendons stand out on the backs of her hands. "A man," she said, her voice low and husky. "Tall, dark hair, green eyes. He'd have been in here recently." Gus's expression turned cautious, his eyes darting to the corners of the tavern as if searching for an escape route. "Don't know what you're talking about," he muttered, but Lena's gaze held him pinned. "Don't lie to me, Gus," she said, her voice like a rusty gate. "I've been tracking him for weeks. I know he came through here." The bartender's Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed hard. Okay. He was in here a few nights ago, kept to himself mostly, but there was a girl with him. Real looker, blonde hair." Lena's eyes flashed with a cold, calculated light. "What was her name?" Gus shrugged, his eyes avoiding hers. "Don't know, sweetheart. She was just a pickup, I think. But the guy, he was asking questions, too, about an old friend of his." The air seemed to vibrate with tension as Lena's gaze locked onto Gus. "What friend?" Gus's voice dropped to a whisper. "A girl named Sarah. He was looking for her, or information about her, anyway." The bartender's eyes darted around the tavern, as if fearful of being overheard. "But I don't think he found what he was looking for." Lena's smile returned, a thin, cruel thing. "Oh, I think he did." Her eyes seemed to bore into Gus's very soul. "And I think I'll find it, too." Gus's face had gone pale, his eyes darting towards the door as if searching for an escape route. "Listen, Lena, I think you're getting in over your head. You don't want to mess with these people." Lena's laughter was a low, husky thing, like a snake slithering through the grass. "You think I'm afraid of them, Gus?" Her gaze seemed to bore into his very soul. "I've been waiting a long time for this." The bartender's eyes dropped, his shoulders sagging in defeat. Okay, I'll tell you what I know. But you have to promise me one thing. You'll leave Max alone. This ain't the place for this kind of trouble." Lena's smile grew a cold, calculating thing. "I promise, Gus. Whatever happens, Max is safe." Her eyes seemed to glint with a promise of retribution. "Now, tell me what you know." Gus's voice was barely above a whisper. The guy, he was asking about Sarah's old friends, people she used to hang out with. He had a list, and one name kept coming up: Rachel Morse. Lena's eyes narrowed, her grip on the whiskey glass tightening. "Where can I find her?" Gus's eyes darted around the tavern, as if fearful of being overheard. "She lives on the outskirts of town, in one of those new developments. But be careful, Lena. Rachel's not someone to mess with." Lena's laughter was a low, husky thing, like a snake coiling around its prey. "I'm not afraid of Rachel Morse." She tossed back the whiskey, the amber liquid burning its way down her throat. "I've got a score to settle." As she pushed off from the bar, the patrons of Mac's Tavern seemed to shrink away, sensing the darkness that lurked beneath her surface. Gus's voice was a faint whisper. "Lena, be careful. You don't know what you're dealing with." But she was already gone, lost in the rain-soaked night, driven by a hunger that would not be sated until the reckoning was complete. The rain-soaked streets seemed to swallow Lena whole, her footsteps echoing off the deserted pavement as she made her way to the outskirts of town. The GPS on her phone led her to a sleek, modern development, the houses gleaming like polished steel in the dim light. Rachel Morse's address was etched on a small bronze plaque, the name seeming to leap out at Lena like a challenge. She felt a cold, calculated thrill as she stepped out of the darkness, her eyes locked onto the house. The porch light flickered on, casting an eerie glow over the tidy lawn as Rachel Morse herself answered the door. Her blonde hair was styled in a sleek, honey-blonde bob, her features chiseled and perfect. But it was the eyes that told the real story, hard, cold, and calculating. They seemed to weigh Lena like a predator sizing up its prey. "Lena." Rachel's voice was as smooth as silk, but Lena detected a faint tremble beneath the surface. "I've been expecting you." Lena's smile was a thin, cruel thing. "Rachel, we need to talk." Rachel's gaze roved over Lena's face, searching for weaknesses. "About Sarah?" she asked, her voice dripping with false concern. Lena's eyes seemed to bore into Rachel's very soul. "About what happened that night. About the secrets you've been keeping." Rachel's mask seemed to slip for an instant, a flicker of fear dancing across her face before she regained her composure. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said, her voice dripping with ice. Lena's laughter was a low, husky thing, like a snake slithering through the grass. "Don't play dumb, Rachel. I have proof, and I'll do whatever it takes to get the truth." As the two women faced off, the air seemed to vibrate with tension, the shadows cast by the porch light twisting into grotesque, sinister shapes. It was a stalemate, with only one way to break it, through the crucible of secrets, lies, and blood. Rachel's eyes seemed to bore into Lena's, a cold, calculating light dancing in their depths. "I think you'll find I'm not so easy to intimidate," she said, her voice dripping with venom. Lena's smile grew, a thin, cruel thing. "We'll see about that." With a sudden, swift motion, Lena reached into her jacket and produced a small, worn photograph. Rachel's eyes widened, a faint gasp escaping her lips as she recognized the image. "Where did you get that?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Lena's gaze never wavered. "From a friend, someone who knows the truth." Rachel's eyes seemed to flash with anger, her face twisting into a snarl. "You don't know what you're playing with, Lena. You don't know what you're up against." The air seemed to vibrate with tension as the two women faced off, the silence between them a living, breathing thing. It was a moment of truth, the precipice before the plunge into darkness. "You see, Rachel?" Lena's voice was a low, husky thing, like a snake coiling around its prey. "I've been searching for a long time, and I've finally found what I've been looking for." Rachel's eyes seemed to flash with fear, her voice barely above a whisper. "You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you've unleashed." Lena's laughter was a cold, mirthless thing. "I know exactly what I've unleashed, and I'll see it through to the end." As the silence stretched, the shadows cast by the porch light seemed to deepen, twisting into grotesque, sinister shapes. It was a moment of no return, the point of no return. And in that moment, the darkness seemed to whisper a single, chilling word: "Begin." The air seemed to vibrate with tension as Rachel's eyes locked onto Lena's, a cold, calculating light dancing in their depths. For a moment, The two women seemed to hang suspended, poised on the edge of a precipice, with only darkness waiting below. Then, with a sudden, swift motion, Rachel spun on her heel, disappearing into the depths of her house. Lena followed, her footsteps echoing off the walls as she stalked her prey. The interior of the house was sleek, modern, and sterile, the air thick with the scent of money and privilege. But Lena's eyes saw only one thing: the secrets that lurked beneath the surface. Rachel led her to a dimly lit study, the walls lined with books that seemed to whisper secrets to each other. In the center of the room, a sleek, black desk beckoned, a single leather-bound folder lying open on its surface. Lena's eyes locked onto the folder, a cold, calculating light dancing in their depths. "The file," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Rachel's smile was a thin, cruel thing. "You'll never take me down, Lena. I have too much dirt on too many people." Lena's laughter was a low, husky thing, like a snake slithering through the grass. "I don't want to take you down, Rachel. I want to know the truth." Rachel's eyes seemed to flash with anger, her voice dripping with venom. "You'll never know the truth. You'll never uncover the secrets that bind us all." As the two women faced off, the air seemed to vibrate with tension, the shadows cast by the dim lighting twisting into grotesque, sinister shapes. It was a moment of truth, the point of no return. And in that moment, the darkness seemed to whisper a single, chilling word: revelation.